count on me. You're gonna have a good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Go Pack Go!
You can count on me. You're gonna have a good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I'm a 37-month subscriber to the Rob Rousseau Show. Gigantic W for me. TRRS Sankara.
Two. Check two. Check two. What's up? What's up, folks? But listen to this. Listen. Shh. What do you not hear? What do you not hear right now? I believe that I fixed the static issue, the mic static issue. Right? Am I wrong? That's why I was muted, because I was fixing mic stuff, and then it wasn't selected because I had unplugged the thing and plugged it back in. I got rid of the hiss sound. Oh, it was driving me crazy. It was driving me fucking crazy. What was the culprit? It was actually, and I got to thank Dave, a legend, who is a legend in this community. I switched the no hissing. I trust you moved to a cubicle further away from Elizabeth Warren. Just sexist, just unbelievably sexist. I plugged the USB in the front of the tower instead of from the back, when I may have had like a power supply issue. Still a little quiet. Okay. That we can work with, though. We can work with that. So I finally got rid of that hiss sound. That's why I was muted there when I just started out there. A couple things. Dakadoon. Thanks for 32 months of Tier 1, Dakadoon. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Dakadoon, for everything. And thanks Kijiji Genie as well for 37 months, Tier 1. It is a gigantic W. 37-month subscriber to TRRS. Kijiji, thank you so much. And currently number 2 in the sub gift leaderboard as well. So just racking up huge W's. A couple things. I think it was who was it? Old Dutch. I'm getting into vinyl. I found Gaucho and Kijiji for $15. That's a steal. That's a steal, Old Dutch. One of the best, I think the best sounding album ever. I genuinely do not think an album has sounded as good before or since. I think it was the pinnacle. It's the pinnacle of recording. And you can never replicate it. You can never replicate it. Because there's like
you
were
can count
making
on me.
shit up.
You're gonna have
There's
good old
mistakes.
Rob to talk you through
They
all
had
this.
some old analog
I bought
technology,
muffins.
some new digital technology. That time will never come again. Franz Schubert, thanks for 21 months, Tier 1. I bought muffins. Nice. Nice. And a new community member, Yusuf. First time chat. What's this banger music? I don't know, Yusuf. Just whoever did compose this, though, must be pretty cool, I imagine. But pretty cool and a music genius. The composer of the TRRS theme song. I don't know. Pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant, though, they must be. Two. Bit louder. Bit louder. Check. That should be good. I'm so glad I isolated that. His sound. God, that was driving me crazy. It was driving me mental. And I realized I wasn't bright enough as well. All last week I was too dark. And now I got no hiss, no mic hiss. And I'm bright again. So season 4 is really coming along here. I gotta be on no mic hiss, good brightness, still muted. The muted was in relation to the mic fixing, okay? That wasn't my fault. That was a genuine technical thing. I need to remember this. Video capture device. Configure video. I've got to be on exposure -5. Any more than that, then it gets to be it starts to get blurry. This is the sweet spot for the exposure. -5. I'm not muted now, that's not true. Chin chin, everyone. What a good start to the day. Smooth. Mute bit is a bot detection technique where we mass ban every user who doesn't reply muted within 2 seconds. That's right. And as we all know, it's an employ for engagement. You get those chats going of all the people mocking me, and the algorithm delivers me sweet viewers. What's the difference, Grom? It's different sugar supplements or whatever it is. Diet Coke is aspartame. Coke Zero is sucralose, sweetener. Return guide, but for the recording techniques used on Can't Buy a Thrill. Well, listen, Steely Dan Halen is a great username as well. Those early albums sound amazing as well. What I love about later period Steely Dan, not later period as in the 2000s, but like later period as in post-Asia, when they're trying to push things
This is some guy,
forward.
Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
They're incorporating all these digital sounds and digital techniques, but the technology is not quite there yet. It's not quite there. They're inventing drum machines, inventing bespoke drum machines to contribute, but it's like they're just inventing the technology. It's this perfect moment in time. Adrian, thanks very much for the raid, Adrian. How was your stream today? Bring it in here. Bring it on in here. But this is an interesting factoid. Also, Diet Coke wasn't designed to taste like Coke. Coke Zero was. Diet Coke was formulated to taste like Tab. That's it, I had no idea. I don't think I've had a Tab. I do not think I've ever had a Tab Cola. That's an interesting fact, though. Definitely agree on the production on Gaucho. Also been listening to old Sade album. Production on also big differences. That stuff is great. That kind of like easy listening 80s stuff sounded just but it's true. And someone else said something in the Kijiji said in the 80s music producers were desperate to have digital recording technology. In the 2020s people just want to go back to pure analog. And that's the thing, it's like you can go back and you can get analog tape machines, and you can do all these old things, but you can't recreate that moment in time though. It's always going to be an effort. You're making it sound like something from the past, which is different from being in the late 70s, early 80s and trying to create a sound of the future and then ending up in this kind of in-between spot. Grom's out doing communist stuff. We love it. Job, Grom. Oh, it's good. Really needed it. Really needed it. Oh. Okay. Now I'm ready to go. My settings are good. I got no mic hiss. The lighting is good. I just had a little bacon sandwich. My Diet Coke. I'm fueled up. Look at the spines on the books, exactly. Wait. I've read several of those. How was everyone's weekend? How was your weekend? Dakadoon said, go Pack. What a win for the Packers. I didn't really watch the game. I watched some of the football this weekend. I watched the Browns game. They got absolutely blown out. It seemed like a lot of both games on Saturday were kind of like big hyped up games that weren't that exciting in retrospect, but Lions fan, nice. I did watch a lot of the Lions game last night. I don't really have a stake in the Lions, but it's always really cool, I think, to see a team that's been, that's had many years of pain, a fandom that's had many years of pain, start to do some stuff again. That's just always a great story. And yeah, the Cowboys game, I don't know. I saw the highlights of it. And that's the thing, it's like, I'm trying to get into football more. I don't have a huge emotional attachment to it. I tried to make myself become emotionally attached to the Bills this year. I am going to watch the Bills game today. Are you having regrets of not becoming a Packers fan yet? A little bit. And I like the Packers. Like, I do like them, but no, I didn't commit to it. And I can't do it now. I couldn't be like, yeah, Packers now. That would be lame. But the people's team. But it was satisfying, and that's it. And when you're not emotionally invested, though, it can still be really entertaining because you can feast off the misery of another fan base. You know, I've talked about a lot before about sports, how a lot of it is just pain all the time. But sometimes you can get this sick satisfaction of vampire-like feasting off the misery of another fan base, and the pain of the Cowboys fans. It was just exquisite. It's just exquisite. It was a special kind of loss for them. It's the one where they, after all the years of disappointment, when they had convinced themselves that this wasn't the year. You know, they convinced themselves that this was the year they were not going to collapse in the playoffs this year. You know, they really, after all the warnings and all the years of disappointment, they really believed. That's the really painful thing, isn't it? And not only did they believe and lose improbably to the team that just kind of squeaked into the playoffs, but got humiliated though. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, we lost it, we didn't show up, we lost in this big game, we got beat by the 7th seed Packers after all this hype and stuff. No, we got absolutely destroyed and crushed and humiliated. And all those Cowboy fans that have been through so many years of disappointment now, who convinced themselves that this was the year that it wasn't going to happen. And listen, I've been there too. I've been there as well. So I remember the last year of the DeMar DeRozan Raptors. I convinced myself as well that year that was the year they were going to beat the Cavs in the playoffs. And then they got humiliated. And it was very painful. This is even worse though. So that's it. I'm not super emotionally invested, but that's just entertaining now. It's entertaining to see people, especially, you know, it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's kind of one of the like Yankees franchises that a lot of people just go on to just because they're, you know, popular or whatever, iconic. America's team, that's right. And you see like Skip Bayless and he's really like one of the most obnoxious sports people. And listen, I actually like Skip Bayless just because I think he's good at his job. I think a sports guy like that, like I see them as being like kind of wrestlers almost. They gotta like get heat, and Skip Bayless gets a ton of heat. He pisses people off, and it's funny. You know, it's funny. I find him really obnoxious, but like he's really good at what he does. A lot of the best sportscasters are like that, right? They're doing like a character, and they get people to hate them, you know? Okay, let's see this here. I searched for some of this stuff on TikTok, and then my whole algorithm was like, oh, you want to see non-stop NFL and Dallas fan highlights? Hey, Dollar Bill, how's it going?
Cowboy fans left here in the cold after the team was iced out of the playoffs by the Packers, and this was a team that many thought would actually make it to a Super Bowl, but they didn't even show up to play. So many fans say they're disgusted and want change.
We just lost, man. I came from there and we lost. Y'all ain't nobody else, man.
Disgusted.
I am upset. You feel me? I am from Virginia. I flew all the way in today to watch this. I'm sad.
Frustrated.
We got another Romo on our hands. Choke like a...
Disappointed.
We need another quarterback, another coach, everything. It don't matter to me. It don't matter.
That's how Cowboys fans felt after watching the team implode once again in the playoffs.
We need help. We need Jesus.
Many blaming the coaches.
Mike McCarthy losing at home against the Packers.
Says a lot.
I think legacy gone, man. Like, you won a Super Bowl with the Packers, and then you go take over a new team, and you lose at home against that team.
Without Aaron Rodgers.
You know,
it's embarrassing.
Others, the quarterback.
No more Dak Prescott. ASAP, new quarterback.
Dak,
Get him out of here. Trey Lance, the next stud. Let's go. Let's go, Rangers!
And many fans demanding change.
12-5, 12-5, 12-5. Who cares when we lose like this to the freaking Packers who shouldn't even be here? It's disgusting. Let's get a real head coach. And if he can't do it for us, let's get a new quarterback. I'm tired.
Fans came from all over and dealt with the cold weather just to watch this mess.
We drove far for no reason.
Fans say they were fed up and freezing.
We're from Florida. We're freezing our off.
I still here since 10, just to freeze, to lose. Not worth it.
There was enough blame to go around as the Cowboys suffered one of the most embarrassing losses in the team's playoff history. And now fans are left
And nobody
disappointed
from
once
there.
again.
Like, what are you from Florida?
At
What are you
AT&T
there
Stadium,
for?
I'm Rebecca Lopez. Back to you.
Brutal. What does Skip have to say here? Or Stephen A. Smith?
You fell for it, didn't you? You fell for it, didn't you? You actually thought y'all were going to win some playoff games. You actually thought that there was going to be the first time that you were going to be in the NFC Championship game in about 30 damn years. That's what they thought, Shay, didn't it? That's what they thought. They fell for it. They fell for it. They heard us talking about how they the number 2 seed. They had home court advantage. They had all of this going for them clubs, Shay. But we warned them. We spent the entire season warning them. And then I shifted gears and I got their hopes up all the way up there.
See, I think it's a bit of cope from Stephen A. though. Stephen A. loves the Cowboys. Now he's like, oh, I told you, I got your hopes up. I think this is a little bit of cope from Stephen A., but it's very entertaining. That cut to Shannon Sharp was very funny. Oh man.
Before it came crashing down. Didn't I tell you, Shay?
He hates the Cowboys? I thought he was a Cowboys guy. I'm confused. I'm getting my sports guys confused.
Shay, didn't I tell you, bro?
It hurt. It hurt.
It really did, didn't it? Hey, guess what, Shay? It don't hurt more than what I'm about to show you right now.
He's a famous
My
Cowboys
music,
hater. Okay, I got
please.
confused. Oh man, that cutaway to Shannon Sharp was hilarious. This was great. See, whether you like sports or not, like this is just entertaining. This like AM sports bullshit. It's just entertaining. I feel like, you know, even if you don't know anything about what's going on. Stephen A. He's a great entertainer. He's a Steelers fan. Look at the cutaway to Shannon Sharp.
That's what they thought, Shay, didn't it? That's what they thought. They fell for it. They fell for it. They heard us talking about how they the number 2 seed. They had home court advantage. They had all of this going for them clubs, Shay. But we warned them.
That's good. That's good. Can we watch Bills highlights next? Well, isn't that game today? That game got canceled. It was funny because the Bills game got postponed, and all these people were saying, "Oh, it's soft. League's so soft." And you see like what's going on in Buffalo right now at the actual field, and it's like you could not possibly have a football game in this environment. Like it's just not possible. The woke governor is scared of snow. Yeah. Soft. Speaking of that, I mean, in the game that I was watching yesterday, there was a numerous. I counted at least 2 comments in the time that I was watching the game from one of the commentators. I don't know the commentators on these big games because again, I'm not a big NFL guy. I'm trying to become more of an NFL guy, but there was multiple comments about like the head injury rules. Multiple comments. At one point, they were like checking to see following some protocol, and the other guy was like, "This league has gotten so complicated because they're following some protocol to see if he has like a possible head injury." And then there's another one. There was another play where the receiver caught the ball. I think it was the Rams tight end, if I remember correctly, and took a big hit like right to the legs because you can't hit them up high anymore. And took a really bad hit to the legs and flipped around and like it was a really bad hit. And the guy was like, I've talked to every single person that I've talked to would say you'd rather take that hit out than take the The hit to the head out. Multiple comments like complaining about the protocols to like try and slow down the amount of head injuries. The whole thing about what is a catch is really obnoxious as well, HC. Although I haven't seen a lot of that anymore. As I've been watching this year, that's always annoying though. Like when you spend 5 minutes like debating whether something that anyone with eyes can see, what a caught ball is, but then you're looking at the slow motion replay. Does he have full possession? Is the ball rattling around a little bit? It's like obviously he caught the ball. Yeah, the Chiefs game as well was just like it was like fucking Arctic temperature. Every guy I know with CTE said it was worth it and the league has gone woke. Like this, like fuck, if this is your big multi-billion-dollar league, this is like the biggest sports league in America. And you have one of the commentators like complaining about the rules that they've implemented to try and protect people from head injuries. The pushback on concussion protocols is wild, especially considering there was an ex-player who shot himself in the heart so he could donate his brain for medical study. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. And you have the color commentator on one of the biggest games of the year being like, ugh, these damn rules about head injuries, like complaining about it like that. It was incredible. You have to get into the NFL to have an opinion about American election. Yeah, can be get into the true mentality, the true mindset. Are the Falcons not even in the playoffs this year, Red Scary? I'm sorry to hear that. The Raptors are having a very rough year. I feel better about them. Bills begging for snow shovelers like they aren't an NFL team with money. I saw that there was like Bills fans have volunteered. They volunteered to shovel the snow. It's like, aren't you like a multi-billion-dollar franchise? Like, what the fuck? Just pay people to shovel. What is this? They're paid $20 an hour. Nice. Bills Mafia with their snowblower. They've had some embarrassing losses. And the Bills fan base are set up for a really painful loss as well, similar to what happened to the Cowboys. They've had a number of embarrassing losses. A lot of them have talked themselves into the idea that this is their year as well. And they're very well set up that if they lose badly today, they're going to be right back in that same situation.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Everyone coming to B-More to get knocked out, baby. It's our year.
Amazing Bird Show. Thanks for 31 months. I appreciate it. Going to become a 49ers fan, GM, Mistress of Insanity. I'm definitely thinking, like, listen, I tried to get myself into the Bills this year. I watched a lot of Bills games. I like the Bills. I couldn't get myself like emotionally invested really to the extent that I was kind of hoping to. Maybe that'll change if they go on a little playoff run. Now, the 49ers were my team when I was growing up. It was Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. Then it was Steve Young and Terrell Owens. Those teams. I always really liked the 49ers. I will probably, in terms of like the West Coast team, they're my West Coast team. There's an entire team of players called Bill. That's right. amazing thing. They only got Bills on the team. Why not try to get yourself into something good? Well, I'm not limited in the other things I can get myself into. I just like hanging around and watching sports, though. It's fun. It's fun on Sundays or Saturdays, as it were, this weekend, to have some snacks, throw on the football game, or two, have 6-7 hours of sports, possibly maybe even have some kind of a beer situation, 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 of those. Sit back and scroll your phone on. It's nice. You know, it's nice. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I'm more of a basketball guy and always will be, but like it's good. I made some really good chicken wings actually this weekend as well. I made some really good chicken wings. Want to see? Let's see here. I don't know. The picture didn't come out that well. I don't know if it's really, you can't really see that well what it is. These are the wings. I made them with some rice and some kimchi on the side. I made like a thing with I put the wings, I chopped them up. They were on sale. I chopped them up, put them with some I made this mixture of like soy sauce, maple syrup, chili oil and chili crisp, and a big thing of garlic. Mix that around. Mix that around, put that in the oven, and with some seasoning as well. Put that in the oven. It was very good. It was really, really good. When's the restaurant opening? I don't know. I've been making some good meals. I've been making some good stuff lately. What was this? I made some chicken thighs and spicy curry noodles and some lao gan ma. That was very good. That was good. I made like a pasta with cream sauce as well. This was yummy. I mean, I made some good meals this week. See, I'm putting parsley on stuff because I got parsley for the first time. So I'm putting parsley on stuff. Some spaghetti with broccoli and garlic and chicken thighs and cream sauce. Have you had tandoori fried wings? Actually, yes. Not like fresh, but at the grocery store near where I live, they have frozen ones. They have frozen like tandoori wings, which are quite good. I've been making some good stuff lately. Like trying to make nice meals has been really something for me that I've kind of latched onto a lot. You know, if I'm ever not feeling great or whatever, take some time to make something nice, sit down and enjoy it. It's nice, you know? And mentally for me, it's been like a place that I go to. It's a healing space for me to do this. I really got to do a cooking stream one day. One of these days I'm going to do it. Okay, so here is it's MLK Day today, and I think this is something that I wanted to focus on. We kind of have a bit of time to talk a little bit about some updates about this weekend. We can talk about Israel Palestine, but very, very relevant, very, very relevant. What I was planning on doing was watching the speech "Why I'm Opposed to the War in Vietnam," which I think is one of the most amazing MLK speeches. And I think as much as MLK's, listen, you read State and Revolution, and what is the first chapter of State and Revolution about these revolutionary figures that posthumously, after they die, they're robbed of all their revolutionary potential, and they become these kind of like harmless icons, and the people that oppose them then hold them up as being these like heroic figures. When I read that for the first time, I thought it was like a modern thing, because you think about MLK as one of the primary people that you could talk about that kind of process and the way that they're robbed of this revolutionary potential. It was one of the things that really made me start to appreciate Lenin, because you realize how pertinent it is. You know, you can read the beginning of State and Revolution, that whole chapter, and you can think, when was this written? The 70s, the 80s? Like, you can imagine that it was written really recently, because of people like MLK and how perfectly it describes that. So I wanted to, they literally call this national park the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change. No, it's fascinating, I think, the way MLK has been kind of absorbed into American popular culture. Like, you can see, like, all these sports leagues are doing like MLK tie-ins, and you can see a lot of that same thing. And like, none of the kind of radical ideas are ever really talked about, and it's all being done in this very kind of like surface level, you know, kind of meaningless, aspirational kind of thing. I read that Lenin quote to people all the time and ask them who they think it's about, and they always say MLK. No, seriously, it's like, it's amazing. It's really amazing. That's why I wanted to watch the speech, or listen to the speech, "Why I'm Opposed to the War in Vietnam," because that really is, I think, the most fascinating period about MLK, when he started really tying the struggle for social justice and racial justice in the United States with the struggle against imperialism amongst the colonized people around the world, particularly in Vietnam. And that's when I think he became a truly dangerous figure. And that's the exact part of his legacy that's been completely whitewashed. It's been completely erased. This criticism of American militarism. Like, again, you talk about the NFL, and you can have like the players talking about what MLK meant to them. You can have clips of some of his speeches kind of taken out of context. And then you have like a military flyby at the beginning of the game. You know, you have like F-35s or stealth bombers flying over the NFL stadium while they're like talking about MLK clips. You know? Or they're being like, the NFL stands with Israel, which they were doing kind of early on in the Israel's bombing campaign against Hamas. The NFL stands with the Israeli hostages, stuff like that. So anyway, I was going to watch that, "Why I'm Opposed to the War in Vietnam," but Red Scary earlier sent a different speech, which I don't believe we've watched, on a similar subject, "Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence." So thank you, Red Scary, for sending that. I think we've watched "Why I'm Opposed to the War in Vietnam" before, and I don't believe we've seen this one. So that's what I would like to watch, that MLK speech today, "A Time to Break Silence," in which he opposes violence and militarism. That's when you want to talk about the nonviolent social change, right? He also preached nonviolence when it came to like the imperialist characteristics of the United States and what they were doing around the world, specifically in Vietnam. And that's what we don't listen to. We mean, like, now what that means, nonviolent social change, is that there should be peaceful marches, and at the end of the marches, everyone just goes home and everything goes back to normal. And nothing actually changes except Nancy Pelosi will kneel down in some kente cloth. That's the kind of nonviolent protest that the ruling class of the United States kind of advocates for. But when you talk about nonviolence abroad, you talk about the United States military's legacy of imperialism and violence. We don't talk about that. Nothing is ever going to change about that. You know? And that's part of his legacy that's been completely ignored. Also, the marches better not be too loud. And if anyone even thinks about smashing a bank window or something, some 17-year-old kid is going to shoot you with an AR-15 and be turned into a national hero by right-wing media. So that's what I would like to do today, is to talk a little bit about that. As for change, now you got it. Every third Tuesday, we wear equality shirts. Right. Or like the NBA will have a playoff tournament in the midst of the largest mass protest movement / uprising in modern American history about police violence. And the NBA players will have like little racial justice slogans on their jerseys. And they're going to organize with President Obama to have voting centers open up in the different arenas to make it so you can vote, so everyone can vote. And that's all that happens. So it's interesting the way that sports is kind of used to dilute that kind of radical message. And I've said this before. I think like we talk about Obama ending that strike. I don't totally believe that that's true. What I think is that Obama gave some of the bigger players kind of the cover that they needed to not have any kind of a strike. I think LeBron and Chris Paul and some of the most prominent players wanted to play and didn't want to strike. And I think Obama gave them kind of like an out to do that. I don't think it was like they were on the verge of striking and he came and talked them down and convinced them not to. I don't think so. I don't think they needed a lot of convincing. Yeah, he was reading Malcolm X in the locker room. Yeah, exactly. Read the first chapter and then he stopped reading it after that, I guess. So I don't want to let Obama off the hook for being part of that, but I also don't agree with this narrative that he was the sole reason that strike didn't happen. LeBron is the goat of reading single chapters of books. And listen, I get it. You know, been there too. So we'll watch that MLK speech today, and I guess before that, I just wanted to maybe go over a couple things that happened this weekend. And that should be good. Should be a good episode. I'm going to mention LeBron also came out pretty hard in support of Israel. For sure. That's how you know he didn't read the Malcolm X book, you know? You can't just read the book. You have to actually maybe try and pick up something off of that, you know? I want to mention our show this weekend. Our show this Saturday at L'Annex, the basement of Saint Jacques Cathedral on St. Catherine Street here in Montreal, right up around the corner from Concordia University. It's this week, Saturday. Doors at 7, $15. Rob Rousseau, Nashua Khan, Paris Marx. We're going to talk about Canadian media. It's going to be a really fun and cool evening. If you're in the Montreal area or around wherever and you can make it out to that, please do. I didn't follow much about the Taiwan election, but I would like to look into it more. I did hear that the results are kind of like not exactly what probably Beijing was hoping for. I did hear that. Anyway, we're gonna that show is gonna be this weekend. I was a little bit stressed about it, and I guess I still am. I'm gonna be stressed. It's like live speaking. It's like gonna be kind of intense. If you guys have a web stream, I'd give a few bucks to watch it. Well, it's definitely gonna be recorded. Like I don't know if it'll be live. That might be a little ambitious. Maybe that would be possible, but I don't totally know. Either way, though, it is going to be recorded so people can either listen to it or watch it. But I think it's going to be a really good discussion. I was a little stressed about it. I'm like, how are we going to have this like 2 and a half hour show? But I did some work today. I'm kind of starting to organize that into like a presentation. I got a bunch of ideas. I think it's going to be a cool discussion. You know, I really love working with Nashua and Paris. And Andre Goulet behind the scenes as well. I think it's going to be really cool. But that's this weekend, this Saturday. It's happening. It's confirmed. No matter what, it's fucking happening. I can find the poster. Here's the poster. If you can make it, please come. It's going to be really cool. That's Saturday, January 20th at Lennox, 1439 St. Catherine West. This is the liberal version of MLK.
This is my impersonation of the Martin Luther King that you all quote when you want black people to shut up. It is me, Martin Luther King Jr., the only civil rights leader who ever lived. I had a dream, and it came true. So the rest of you Negroes can leave it alone now. Why are you protesting in the street? I would have never inconvenienced those nice white people like that. They're just trying to get to work. It is actually against the law for any black person to say something that contradicts anything that I said. So if you hear it, tell them I'm disappointed in them and that it is illegal to say that. Everybody loves me now, just like everybody loved me back then. It's why I died of natural causes at the age of 98. I only gave one speech. Don't Google it. I'm sure the person who is quoting me to you would have supported me back then as well. Just ask their parents or their grandparents what they thought about me.
I love that person. Do you believe the Obama CIA rumors? Well, here's the thing, Dollar Bill. We do know that like Obama's mom was like Obama's stepdad was like this Indonesian anti-communist guy in the post-revolution, the post-military coup Indonesia that purged, 1 million people and killed 1 million people. So we do know there's a connection with Obama's mom and like the State Department and some pretty nasty folks. Very nasty. Definitely very suspicious. That's the Obama birtherism thing that we should be talking about, not some bullshit about Hawaii and like, oh, is he American? Is he not American? Like what? Who cares about that? Let's talk about what connection that his parents had with these like dark anti-communist intelligence people. Let's talk about that. Yeah, his mom was with USAID. He did some Jakarta method shit. Yeah, his stepfather did. It is concerning. It is concerning. USA definitely not fertile recruiting ground for clandestine. No. So where to get started? Maybe we can just like, now that we've said hello, we've got Roland here. It's Monday. We've reintroduced ourselves. We've got the conversational juices flowing. Perhaps now can put on some kind of a video that can get us started here. And again, we'll do that MLK. About that. See, look at this shit though. Like this is exactly what we're talking about, right? Anthony Blinken. Today we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the lasting impact of his legacy. He dedicated his life to pursuing a dream of a world with more justice, equality, and freedom. The very core of our American values, remembering Martin Luther King Jr. as they're sending billions of dollars worth of weapons to Israel to drop bombs on Palestinian children. I mean, Israel is a whole other thing where they've held up past statements from MLK about Israel as to try to suggest that he would be like Zionist today, which is like, if you listen to his speeches about imperialism and about the war in Vietnam, no one should have any illusions about where someone like an MLK would be today. I amazingly had, I posted that tweet about, the whole thing with Yemen and the Houthis and everything. And I posted that tweet from the Kwame Ture quote. If I'm the Imam of Mecca and American imperialism is fighting with the devil, I'm fighting the devil. And I actually had people trying to do this thing in my mentions to that, saying like, oh, you used this civil rights leader to promote the Houthis in Yemen who have slavery. Suggesting that Kwame Ture, if he were not around, wouldn't be full-fledged 100% with every fiber of his being backing what the Yemenis are doing currently. Like as if anyone would have any illusions about that. Someone tried to flip it around on me, like Kwame Ture would somehow be like, on the side of Israel or on the side of the United States government. It's like, give me a fucking break. That's very rich. Yes, there's a speech MLK made in support of Jewish people in Israel that gets weaponized for Zionist purposes. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. It's like you can take a speech from the mid-'60s about that idea and try to suggest that someone like MLK would be some kind of like adamant supporter of Israel today as they're murdering tens of thousands of little kids in Palestine. And it's just delusional. It's just absolutely delusional. We must align with U.S. foreign policy. And that's exactly why I posted that tweet from Kwame Ture, because that's one of my guiding principles. That's one of my guiding principles when we talk about geopolitics, when we talk about foreign policy, when we talk about militarism. This quote is one of my guiding principles. This and the Che Guevara quote, never trust the imperialists. These two things, and this quote from Kwame Ture, if I'm the Imam of Mecca and American imperialism is fighting the devil, I'm on the side of the devil. This has been one of my central animating principles whenever we talk about these issues. And that's why I don't care when people say, oh, you're pro-Putin? Oh, you're pro-Putin? You're pro-Hamas? You're pro-Houthi? You're pro-Iran? You're pro-Maduro? You're pro-Castro? It's those insults, those smears, they just mean nothing when you just internalize this idea. When you just internalize this idea, it doesn't matter who's on the other side. Where is American imperialism? Where are they operating? Well, I'm on the other side of that. Easy. It's easy to understand. People say, oh, it's so complex. Oh, Ukraine, I don't want to get involved. It's so complex. We've got to support Ukraine. Oh, Taiwan, it's so complex. It isn't. It isn't complex. Or Israel. It's the ultimate example of something being not complex. America bad. Mistress of Insanity. I've been saying this. And for people that think that that's some kind of like Canadian chauvinist thing, Canada is a fucking lackey of the United States. Canada is a junior partner in the American empire. So it goes without saying we need to oppose that as well. It's so easy to understand each one of these situations when you internalize this message. And none of these smears mean anything to you. Oh, you support this. All the community notes on my tweet about Yemen. What is there, like 25 different points on there now? On my tweet about Yemen? All the horrible things that the Houthis are doing. Look at all these different community notes, some of which are going to like Saudi state media, by the way. And by the way, I also appreciated Felix from Chapo weighing in on this and talking about how bullshit some of these links are and some of these community notes are. I appreciated that. But all the different community notes, they all sprung into action. They sprung into action. How dare you say that Yemen is doing more to meaningfully uphold and protect international law and human rights? Don't you know they did this and this and this and they do this bad thing and this terrible thing? You stand with that? Well, where's American imperialism operating? Oh, with the Saudis and with the West? Yeah, okay, well then I'm on the other side of that. How about that? You know? And like we were saying, it's like it's not that you're saying like every single person or some kind of blanket support for every single thing that happens with the Houthis or with Yemen or whatever. But like have with all these community notes, all these terrible things, how can you say they uphold international law and human rights? Look at all the things that they're doing. All these terrible things. How can you say that? And it's like, well, Israel just killed 30,000 people and we paid for it. We give them the bombs and we helped them do it. We just helped Israel kill 10,000 children, which is worse than anything you're going to point out here on your precious little community notes. It's worse. And they're objectively doing more to stop this than anyone else. They're not just using rhetoric. They're not just withdrawing ambassadors. They're not closing embassies. They're putting skin in the game and organizing an actual naval blockade to stop this mass murder from happening. So I was objectively correct. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to the haters and losers, but I was objectively correct to say this, and I was right to say it, and I don't regret it, and I don't feel bad, and I'm not sorry. I was objectively correct. You can give me another community note. Put another link on there. Let's have more. Let's have even more. Put some more links. I don't care. Like, and all these people DMing me and shit, telling me to kill myself, all kinds of stuff, because I said this. And again, it's like, it's very easy to figure this stuff out. If you take that Kwame Ture, if you adopt that Kwame Ture mentality.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
2 years of FRIENDSHIP.
Lucid, thank you very much for 24 months of Tier 1. I really appreciate that, Lucid, and I appreciate being your friend. Thank you, Lucid. And congratulations to you for the 24-month shimmering
You can count
golden
on me. You're going to have
sub-badge.
good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Lucid. But this is what I mean. It's like, it's so easy to figure this stuff out if you just adopt this mentality. Let me see if I can find, because I had more deranged comments on this. Like, look at this is what I'm dealing with here, folks. This is the kind of comment that I'm dealing with on here. Well, since you boldly proclaimed your support for the Houthis, which makes you pro-slavery, and because slavery is devilish, your endorsement of this quote checks out, though quite a bit ironic given the quote is from a figure in the civil rights movement, given your pro-slavery stance. Like, again, we don't want to speak for people that are no longer with us.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old
right?
Rob to talk you through all this.
Streamer, will you please be nicer to chat, pleading face?
Or Blady, thank you for the 28 months. And for all the support. I'm very nice to chat. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm very nice to chat, and everyone can attest to this. But like, this is what I'm dealing with. And again, we don't want to put words in the mouths of people that are no longer with us. The idea that Kwame Ture wouldn't be out there right now waving a Yemeni flag and fully 100% unapologetically supporting the Houthis and supporting Yemen and supporting Palestine, including Hamas or whoever else, is just fucking laughable. We all know that if we know anything about this man, we all know that that's exactly where he would be right now. Plum Tree Spotted Meat says, if only people were as nice to Rob as he is to chat. Thank you. Thank you, Plum Tree Spotted Meat. I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. I think that's a great question. Why not? They seem perfectly fine putting words in your mouth as well as others. Fuck them. They love drinking baby blood. How about that? It's Plum Tree's Potted Meat. Okay, thank you. Sometimes with all the meat is potted, not spotted. Okay. Sometimes with all the low caps, it's hard. But thank you. But yeah, exactly. If you're going to put like words in my mouth saying, "Oh, I support slavery," like it's very easy to flip that around. If anyone that's getting mad about this supports Israel and supports the mass murder of Palestinian children. Like, you can point to any story from Human Rights Watch or Saudi state media about how horrible the Houthis are. The people that are getting mad about these kind of tweets, though, are supporters of the mass murder of children. And that's not even a stretch or an exaggeration. They support it and they think it's good. They think it's good when Israel spends 3 months dropping bombs on refugee camps and apartment complexes, assassinating journalists, dropping white phosphorus on little kids. They support that. So I don't know. These words don't really mean anything to me. When I make this objectively true statement about Yemen and the Houthis and this Red Sea blockade, and people say all kinds of things about me as a result, it means nothing to me. Because they support Israel dropping white phosphorus on little kids. These are depraved, violent lunatics. And this kind of bullshit means nothing to me. Yeah, the weirdo, the Tristan Hooper thing from the National Post. We just have to like cull some human beings in order to support our Western hegemony, just like at the park. At these national parks, you got to shoot grizzly bears. We got to shoot people. And then he's calling everyone else like pro-terror. I got another guy to show you. Oh, and I don't like to call these people out that much because I find it annoying. But another person that needs to be like fucking put in their place right now is fucking Vosh. I saw Vosh putting out this video about, I guess, focusing on Hassan because that's how he built his whole career, by just like leeching off Hassan's popularity and clout like so many other people. And he's out there saying like, this is doing like these crazy lefties that are out there promoting these pro-Nazi talking points, basically. About Hassan and Hassan's words about Yemen and the Houthis. And Vosh is saying like, oh, and Kyle Kalinske as well. saying like, oh, they support these pro-Nazi talking points. This man supports NATO. He supports NATO. He supported the endless arming and funding of these actual Nazis in Ukraine. Bosch has spent the last 2 years of his life advocating that these people get as much weapons as they can possibly get their hands on. And this man's going to sit around and talk about the Houthis and saying that anyone on the left is just this wacko conspiracy theorist, anyone that would have anything to say about this. You know? Like, fuck off. Give me a break. And again, look at this. Look at the shit that we're dealing with here. These are the people that we're dealing with. And this is what I wanted to talk about, this whole America bad thing. Because it started from this. I posted this tweet from Kwame Ture. This person says, imagine admitting you're just America bad. And this is what the Vosh types kind of say. Oh, their ideology is just America bad. It's like, yes, it's the idea where it's called being anti-imperialist. Who's the number one most evil, violent, depraved imperialist force of the world today and has been for the last 7 years? It's the United States of America. So yeah, if you're anti-imperialist, that's fundamentally inseparable from taking the idea that America is bad. And the things the American government does worldwide. I don't want to blanket speak about every single American. Some Americans are in this community. Some Americans I like a lot. You know, some of them I assume are good people. Many of them are hogs, but let's be clear here. Imagine describing Kwame Ture's outlook as America bad. Exactly. So for sure, Donnie Azoff knows more about the fucking struggle for social justice and internationalism than Kwame Ture, definitely. And I say, yes, I am just America bad. That is my ideology. That is what it is. And look at this comment. Like, these people do not know what the fuck they're talking about. First of all, look at this account. Chris with some kind of animated raccoon Avi with a Ukraine flag and an American flag. My new anonymous account, anti-conspiracy theorist, oppression narrative crusader. Far left and far right are just two sides of the same idiot coin. This is the average horseshoe theory believer. This is the average horseshoe theory supporter. Look at this comment. It's amazing. It says, I'm honestly just curious. You support Gaza, a far-right country that executes gay people, invaded its neighbor, then systematically gang-raped small children and exterminated thousands of innocents because they were the wrong religion. How do you realize you're not evil? And the amazing thing about this tweet is, and this is the kind of shit that I have to deal with right now, these are the kind of people that are criticizing me and saying mean and hurtful things to me online and telling me to kill myself, etc. Every single thing about this is incorrect. Every single thing about this comment. You support Gaza, a far-right country. Gaza is not a country, number one. Gaza is not a country. It is a prison camp. It's a concentration camp. It's not a country. That's the whole fucking point, Chris. Is that there's not a country. They don't have a state. They don't have a state. They don't have an army. They don't have anything. They live in a prison camp. They can't leave. Israel controls what kind of supplies get in and out. They cannot leave, and if they ever manage to leave, they can't ever come back. They've got full support of the entire Western imperialist machine, the military machine and the media machine. So invaded its neighbor.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Mule, thanks for the raid. Hello, DJ Mule. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. Welcome in. Please smash the follow button. It's me, Rob. It's nice to see you. I hope the DJ Mule raid was good today. I'm just talking about some bullshit that people have been saying to me online and getting mad about it. They say, yeah, support Gaza, a far-right country that executes gay people. So far-right country, again, just right off the bat, it's not a country, it's a prison camp. Invaded its neighbor. It can't invade its neighbor when it's not a fucking country. It's not an invasion, it's a prison break. It's people escaping from a concentration camp. That's what happened on October 7th. It's not another country invading another country, invading its neighbor. It doesn't have a neighbor. It doesn't have a state. There's no neighbors. It has the colonizer and the colonizer. It has the oppressor and the oppressed. They just invaded their neighbor. That's how they describe it. And then just regurgitating some of the most horrific atrocity porn propaganda that's been pushed, which has never been confirmed, which this man just agrees with is totally real. And again, this is a guy that's like, oh, I'm against conspiracy theorists. I'm against conspiracy theorists and this Putin disinformation online. And this man has deputized himself to go after the left-wing crazies and the conspiracy theorists who are exactly identical to the Nazis or the far right. And again, this man has a Ukrainian flag in his bio, which says all you really need to know. And exterminated thousands of innocents, which again, that number has been managed downward multiple times. And there's now, it's not even a controversial, it's not even a conspiracy to talk about the fact that a huge number of people that were killed on October 7th were killed by Israel. Like that's not even like a spicy opinion. That's not a conspiracy. That's not like this far left crazy thing. There's been enough reporting on this, legitimate reporting in Israeli media that has proven this. We don't know what the number is. We don't know if it was 25%, if it was 40%, 50%, 70%. We don't know. We'll probably never know. But again, all this bullshit, they just exterminated thousands of innocents and gang raped children and all this stuff. Completely made up. Completely made up. And because they were the wrong religion. Again, it has nothing to do with people's religion. It has nothing to do with people's religion. They got killed because they were Israeli. Because they're part of the extremely racist Israeli and violent Israeli settler project. And you know what? If civilians were intentionally targeted on that day and murdered, I don't agree with that. And I think that's absolutely horrible. And you know who I blame for civilians being killed in that situation? I blame the Israeli occupation that pushed things to that point. That indirectly got their own people killed and directly got their own people killed from these Apache helicopters and from these tank crews firing on kibbutzes and all these things. But the idea that this is some religious thing, they're targeted because of their religion, complete bullshit as well. And this is the average like horseshoe theory investigator. This man is investigating all the dangerous left-wing crazies and conspiracy theorists. When obviously there's not a conspiracy theory that this person does not believe themselves. And has way, way more in common with the right than they realize they do. So these are the kind of people that have been getting mad at me online over the last couple of weeks because I made the objective, or the last couple of days and weeks really, because I've been talking about this for a while. Because I made the objectively true statement. The objectively true statement that Yemen right now is doing more than almost anyone to support and promote international law and human rights. And it's these kind of people are the people that are taking such offense to that. I will not be holding a rave 5 minutes away from an open-air prison known for civil atrocities. Maybe I'm built different. I'm not trying to blame the victims there. It really is a bizarre thing that they did. Held an electronic music party centered around peace, love, unity, respect, next to an open-air prison, and not as a fundraiser. Other effort to end the prison, just a party. Was a mistake. I agree. And I don't think anyone should deserves to die for that. Nobody. But I would also not do that myself either. This whole idea that was spread in the first couple of days, they were like peace activists. They were peace activists. It was like they were like dancing with the people on the other side of the fence. I don't think it was like that. I don't think it was like that at all. Anyway, but that's what I mean. It's like nothing that anyone says about this shit to me means anything to me. You know, people are trying to hurt me or whatever. It doesn't, because these people support the country currently that's dropping white phosphorus on little children, and means nothing to me to be lectured by those people. I just want to show you the kind of shit that I've been getting, though. In case you think I'm making this shit up, sometimes people say, like, oh, I get all kinds of, like, death threats and stuff like that, and they never actually, like, as a way to just, like, avoid any kind of criticism. Like, this is what people have been saying to me. From at Bacon Ranch Rap. Locked account, 90 followers. From at Bacon Ranch Rap. They were one of the people freaking out about ISIS having ties to Israel and the US. They might have been in this chat. And then they say Friday, 8:53 a.m. 8:53 a.m. This man logs on to twitter.com and says, will you please just off yourself? I am begging at this point. Because I suggested that Yemen is doing more than anyone to uphold human rights and international law by trying to blockade the Red Sea, which is just an objectively true thing. That's barely even begging. I would need to see a lot more than that. I agree. We're gonna call that begging. Like we can do a lot better than that. Okay. It is also telling how the imperialist bootlickers are super ableist. Yeah. You see once again the fishhook theory uniting people that are liberals with these far right types. Are they really trying to pretend that the corrupt power vacuum in Iraq didn't create ISIS? Well, that's the thing. And on I say in that tweet, there's a link between Israeli and Western intelligence networks and ISIS. And they all think what I mean is like ISIS, there's like a secret group of spy CIA guys and Mossad guys that everything that they do is just being commanded by Israel, which is not at all what I said. But talking about the link between Iraq and Syria and arming and funding these groups, like ISIS, arming and funding these groups of extremists who were fighting Iran. Iran was fighting against these groups. And people like Soleimani were training these militias in Syria and Iraq to fight these groups. And then we assassinated the guy that's doing that. So just showing the link. There's a link. It doesn't mean that like that's some kind of TV show thing where, you have the baddies are getting their secret cues from whoever, but like there's definitely a link. How much, a lot, or a little? Well, that's this kind of thing we have to speculate on. But this is the kind of thing that people are saying to me as a result of all this kind of commentary that I've been doing. These aren't people who care about getting informed, debate, whatever. They just want to look smart online. Not worth your time or energy. No, I agree. And that's what I like. That's what I said to this fine fellow. I just said, Chris, you have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I don't? He says, I don't? What part of what I said was not true? Can you point to it? Of course not. You MAGAs and far left crazies.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old facts. Rob to talk you through all this.
You just resort to conspiracies and grievance culture. Literally exactly what they were doing. But it's like, well, why? Why would when I'm going to sit around and have a conversation with this guy? Really? Again, I don't even get a chance to talk to the people that I like in life. Why I'm going to sit around and spend my day talking to this fucking guy? Really? And again, conspiracies and grievance culture, while he's all just like repeating talking points that have been passed down from like the highest levels of the security state, laundered through the media and into this guy's brain, where I'm sure he thinks he's this big like critic of disinformation and critical thinking, you know? And he accuses me of being a conspiracy theorist. I don't even know what's real in regards to ISIS anymore. Well, no, neither do I, Retoriku. That's the thing. We don't know. We know that there's a link. And that's what I mentioned in that tweet. We know that there's a link. How much of a link is there? Well, that's the part where we have to talk about and we have to speculate on, because that's the part where we don't have objective information. What we do have is the various links and the reporting that's been done on these links and how these groups began, the kind of power vacuum and destabilization that happened in Iraq and Syria as a result of the Iraq war and the dirty war in Syria, arming and funding and training these extremist groups there. And then you end up with a radical Islamic offshoot, which is pretty much the worst, scariest version of this kind of threat of Islamic extremism, who just happen to, a lot of the time, seem to share a lot of goals with the United States government and Israel. But we can't talk about that. We can't ask questions about that. Oh, it's too scary. It's too dangerous. Look at this conspiracy theorist. Look at this conspiracy theorist asking these kind of questions. I better be like a rational, critical thinker and go and tell this man to fucking kill himself. It is weird how that happens. It seems to happen a lot. It seemed to happen a lot. And it's going to happen in Ukraine as well. Diego, thanks for the gifted sub a minute ago. Thank you, Diego. I've been called a tanky, a conspiracy theorist, and a liberal by some assholes on a snark Reddit, and while I do not self-identify as any of those, liberal is still the most... I mean, that's so you know I'm a true centrist, as I've talked about before, and same with you, Lodane. I've been accused sometimes on the same day of being a Putin propagandist and a sheepdog for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. That's how you know I'm a true centrist, okay? That's how you know you can trust me. Why not just admit you've been outlawed? I guess I should. Yes, I should. They also say you're Canadian. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Of these guys as well. I'm just giving you a little example about some of the people that have been after me for some of these tweets lately. I talked about this Phil Oakes tweet. What happened to the anti-war liberals? This person says, Disco Cat says, you're not anti-war when it comes to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, though, are you, Rob? And I said, sure I am. That's why I've spent the last 2 years advocating for the war to end, while people like you have been pushing for it to continue indefinitely. There's a war to end by wanting to Ukraine to stop defending itself and give your man Putin everything he wants. And again, as we've talked about, there was a peace deal on the table almost 2 years ago in which Ukraine, if it had taken it, not only would hundreds of thousands of people still be alive, but they would have more territory than they're currently going to on the trajectory that they're going now with whatever peace deal they make in the next year or so. They could have taken that deal that Boris Johnson flew in at the last moment and told them not to do, and they would have more territory. And that's what I was advocating for. You know, that's what I was advocating for. They would have more territory than they're going to now that 2 years have passed and hundreds of thousands of people have been killed in the process. Well, with this guy, Disco Cat, whoever the fuck this guy is, and people like Vosh and Destiny and whoever else cheering it along every step of the way and giving themselves a nice big pat on the backs about how fucking civilized they are and their beautiful liberal Western values were being promoted. All these people were celebrating this every step of the way. Hundreds of thousands of people killed. Big parts of the country completely wrecked. The country that you claim to care about. These people have been cheerleading that every step of the way. Well, you got what you wanted. Like, I don't know what they're so mad about. You got the war that you wanted. You know? It went on 2 years. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed. The whole country's been sold off for parts and privatized. And they've lost more territory than what they would have had if they had just followed the initial Minsk agreements or if they had taken the first peace deal that was offered in the early stages of the war. Congratulations. Don't get mad at me over that. That's not my fault. And there's an offshoot of some of this discourse that I wanted to talk about, and then we can shift gears to MLK. Because this is a sentiment that I have seen a number of times now, becoming more and more popular from both people like Will Stancil and from Brianna Wu.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through
Where's
all this.
Where's this Brianna Wu tweet?
Left FL1 and war TRRS Parenti.
Cauldron of Bats, thanks for 11 months of tier 1. Thank you, Cauldron of Bats. Let me see if I can find this sentiment. One sec here. Yeah, okay, so this is the sentiment, and people like Will Stancil have been promoting this as well. I want to talk about this. Okay? Real talk. I've seen a number of people promoting this kind of idea lately, including people like Vosh. Real talk. We'll never get progressive policies like universal health care if we don't nuke our growing extremism. Interesting choice of words there as well. Nobody is going to toss the government keys to a movement screaming, globalize the intifada and pretending Houthis are oppressed and not terrorist fanatics. She says healthcare, housing, real wages, generational investment in infrastructure, liberty and justice for all. This is our path forward. Guess what, Brianna? Your social democracy is not coming. It's not coming. It's not going to happen. Just give up on internationalism. Just give up on internationalism. Stop talking about imperialism. Stop doing this America bad thing. Stop criticizing American foreign policy and just focus on getting these progressive policies passed. It's not happening, lady. It's not happening. And I actually do care about people in the third world. Yes, also. It's not happening. There's no social democracies coming. There's no healthcare. There's no housing coming. There's no free education. It's not happening. Just give up on internationalism, then we can have all these things. We'll just work within the system. Are you fucking blind? Have we been paying attention to the same government for the last 5 years? We saw what happened when someone tries to work within the system to achieve these kinds of things. They will crush anyone. They'll crush anyone that's trying to deliver a better standard of living and trying to deliver this kind of progressive change. Look at Corbyn, look at Bernie. These were mild, moderate social democrats, like Bernie Sanders, an FDR liberal that just wants the United States government to fund a fucking welfare state for people using its vast resources. And look what they did to that. How are you going to build? You're going to build another movement that's going to be as possibly transformative as that, an electoral movement? Oh, just purge these extremists, stop talking about Palestine, support Ukraine, support the U.S. government, supports the U.S. military, and then we can get these progressive policies. No, you will not. No, you will not get these progressive policies. It's not happening. We just need 60 senators. No, 60 is not going to quite cut it. You need at least 65. Believe me, this time we're going to do this. Like we've talked about Biden, like Biden came into power and they passed immediately a bunch of huge transformative progressive economic policies. It got handed to them. It got handed to them on a silver platter. Expanded employment benefits, child tax credit, transfer payments. It got handed to them on a silver platter. What did they do? They pulled it all back. They ended it. They sunsetted all that stuff. They didn't make it permanent. So you think they're going to make those policies permanent now? Look at the capitalist flight and the rebellion that happened in our capitalist class in both Canada and the United States against these kind of progressive policies. Most people now are going around believing that it was because of these policies that we have like inflation, we have all these economic issues. These people have convinced themselves that it's because they spent money on those kinds of like expanded social benefits that's the reason the economy got fucked up, and that's why housing costs so much. That's why groceries are more expensive, because they don't want to blame the actual capitalists that are like setting those prices. And by the way, that whole concept fundamentally destroys the entire idea that in Western liberal democracy, we even live in a democracy at all. As we've proven, when you go and work within the system and vote for a platform like this, capitalists that run our society just say, no, you're not allowed to do this. And they raise all the prices of everything, and they intentionally destroy the economy until we remove all these policies. And of course, Miles, I'm a centrist conservative, and I agree with that. Yeah, that pretty much says it all right there. Thank you, Miles, for confirming. You know what I mean? There's no social democracy coming. Oh, just stop supporting Palestine. We'll get our social democracy. Do you fucking hear yourself? I've seen a number of people promoting this kind of idea. Purge these left-wing crazies that support Palestine. Purge these left-wing crazies that are saying that the Houthis are doing something good with this Red Sea blockade. Purge the crazies that don't think it was a good idea to turn Syria into the next Libya. Purge the crazies that think that NATO had something to do with the invasion of Ukraine. And then we'll get our social democratic program. And like, we've seen what this looks like when they run. It was the Elizabeth Warren campaign, which all these fucking people supported, and she finished third place in her home state. So like, what is this argument? If we just stop the internationalism, we stop supporting people in the global south, we stop opposing U.S. militarism, and then we're going to get this big social democratic program. No, you will not. Green the military. That's right. That's what that looks like. The left hand's at Vosh. Well, like Kijiji, I know sometimes he's just trolling and saying outrageous things to get people talking about him. You know, I get it. I've been there. But he is literally like making this case a lot of the time. He's making this same case about jettisoning any idea of internationalism. Or about, like, again, this man supports and promotes NATO and Western imperialism. Like, what does he calls himself like a NATO Bidenist anarchist or something? Like, it's just preposterous. Give me a break, man. Come on. He's accusing other people of using Nazi talking points for talking about Yemen when this man supports arming and funding actual literal Nazis in Ukraine and has also contributed in his own way to Ukraine getting totally wrecked in this war, which never had to happen. I know I'm fired up. I slammed that Diet Coke. I think I got a real caffeine hit from that. I'm almost thinking of having a second Diet. I might even get even crazier on here. But I think that's a really interesting thing. The whole thing about the Biden administration, how they got handed that program on a silver platter. All these big social democratic policies, which were genuinely transformative for millions of people. You want to read something really depressing? Read comments from people that during COVID had access to expanded employment benefits and the child tax credit. There's some absolutely heartbreaking comments from people that are like, for the first time in my life, I could breathe. I could take a breath. I could afford to just spend time with my family. I could afford to just like fucking not be getting ground into dust every single day at my job. And what did they do? They took it all away. You can't have that. You can't have that. And then so how does that square with this fucking idea that if you get rid of these internationalists and you give up on supporting any of these things, that you're going to get some kind of social democratic program? No, you will not. You will not. If Rob a Panera lemonade, he would be unstoppable. I would love to have one of those lemonades, honestly. I really would. Here's an example, a personal one. I just lost my Medicaid this month because I made too much money. I make $22K dead count. I'm so sorry to hear that. And then you still have people promoting this idea that the economy is actually great because, like, look at this graph. Look at the graph. Look at the jobs numbers. Again, we took away people's employment benefits, so they had to go back out into the workforce, into soul-destroying gig economy jobs or whatever else. And look, it made the job number go up. Look how great Biden's doing. Look how great Biden's doing. Look at the job numbers. Look at this. Look at the charts. The line is going up. Unbelievable. And they've reduced the millions of people whose lives are just getting churned into this fucking machine. And they completely reduce those to just numbers on some graph somewhere that points to them that the blue team is doing good and the red team's doing bad. There are like 20,000 studies that show even the most meager social benefits can lift homeless people out of poverty into stable housing and employment. There was that like pilot program in California the other day that they talked about. They're like, when we give homeless people just $700 a month, no questions asked, it improves their lives. And people look at it like, wow, that's amazing. Really? Unbelievable. Who would have imagined? So yeah, this whole idea, just give up on purge the far left crazies. And I am the left's answer to Alex Jones. I saw Orb Lady a few minutes ago say that's true. I'm like Alex Jones, but good. Folks, we just need to give people housing. Why are we still talking about this? We're talking about it's neoliberalism that's destroyed our society. It's neoliberalism that's caused the housing crisis. We just need to put people in homes, folks. If we live in a society where when we pass social democratic policies like expanded tax credits, child tax credits, unemployment, and we expand these social benefits, and capitalists in our society engage in capital flight, they hold our economy hostage, folks. They're the enemy. They're the enemy. They must be destroyed. We do not live in a democracy, folks. When capitalists get to decide what kind of economic policies we vote on. We're the people. We should be able to vote on these kind of economic policies. It's not capitalists, unelected capitalists that decide whether we should get social safety benefits. Hardcore Trotskyites. We're in deep trouble. We are in deep, deep trouble, folks. The frogs are gay and it's good, actually. I support that. Why do all our frogs need to be heterosexual? Why do we think about that? We should have more gay frogs and different kind of gay animals as well. I haven't done Communist Alex Jones in a while. That's a classic bit on this show that I haven't done in quite a while, so. China has the gayest frogs you've ever seen. Bringing back a classic character in the TRRS canon. By the way, I'm saying the TRRS now. The Rob Rousseau show. That's what I say now. Frog gender is a social construct. I am fired up today. I'm fired up, folks. I should start selling buckets of slop as well. I should have some kind of a clout stimulant, like a clout supplement. Rob's brain borscht. It's actually good for you because it's borscht. Put some sour cream on there. It's delicious. Clout lewds. Gamer boy bathwater. Now we're just getting into the sexualizing, sexually objectifying. But as you know, folks, I don't make Alex Jones money. Unfortunately for me, I might be the left's answer to Alex Jones, but certainly not in terms of like income. So if you do support this show, folks, if you support TRRS and you like content like what you've been looking at for the last 20 minutes or so, as I've been ranting and raving and hooting and hollering and screaming and shouting, if you enjoy this content, please subscribe if you can. It's $4.99 per month. It's totally free of charge with an Amazon Prime account, which you can easily transition into a Twitch Prime sub. You can tip. Tips are very much appreciated right now. You can use the tip command to send a tip through Streamlabs, I believe.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Those are very much appreciated right now. If you can, please subscribe to TRS and support the work that I do on here. Okay? If you like what you're seeing. Every season
you can count on me.
Season,
you're going to have good
right
old
now.
Rob to talk you through all
That's
this.
Right. Diego, thanks for the gifted sub, and thanks Fiddler for the gifted sub as well. Thank you to you both. Most liberals think they've moved past being conservative because they're okay with queer people. Brianna's still the same Trent Lott intern she was in college. Forgot about that. And the amazing thing is I see people in the comments. Let's see if I can find this specific thing. Let's see if I can find this. Look at this. As someone, look at you're spelling it out and you still can't figure it out. It's spelled out right in front of you, Brianna, and you still can't figure it out. This person says, as someone from back in the Gamergate days, how is it that extremists have gone so far that we can now say we're on the same side? And she says, Jesus, that's depressing. Brianna, can't you fucking understand what's going on there? She's admitting that she's on the same side as the fucking deranged lunatics from Gamergate, and she still doesn't understand. She thinks that's everyone. She thinks that it's like Palestine supporters' fault that that's happened. It's like, Brianna, fucking really read the words that are written in front of you here and really start to think about it. You fool. Yeah, Brianna called Houthis the Houthinis. That's right. The Houthinis. Ari Houthini. That's right. The Houthinians. Yes, that was a mistake. She's not invited onto this show. No.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sunny Sola, thanks for the 3 gifted subs. Thanks for all the support, Sunny Sola. And again, if anyone wants to support the show, I must make the little number go up. I must make the line go up. If you can, it's the only way that I'm still able to do this show each and every day is through the community members. You know? It's through the unbelievable generosity of the community members. So if you can, please subscribe. It's the only way that this show continues to air each and every day. I suddenly find myself in lockstep with these Nazis. Is that bad? No, it's everyone else that's wrong. It's the Houthinis that are wrong. Great analysis, Brianna. You dummy. I think I am going to have another Diet Coke, actually. We can put on this MLK speech. I think I've hooted and hollered and ranted and raved for enough for one day. In fact, I'll probably continue to rant and rave. Here, just hang out with my red chair for a minute. Again, please, if you can, subscribe, folks. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. It's very, very helpful. And again, if anyone, the tips as well. Can't stress enough how much those are appreciated right now. Talk amongst yourselves.
Fart 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 fart.
Are you going to watch the new Marvel movie Echo? The hero is really relatable to you, I think. I probably will not. I probably will not do that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
GG Genie. Thanks for the 3 gifted subs and for all the support. I really appreciate it, Kijiji Genie, moving up to second in the gifted sub rankings. Oh, did I get a tip? I got a 420 tip. Who was that from? Show up. not show up in my Dream Elements dashboard. I don't know why. Have you ever tried drinking water? Look at that, Spooky. You tried to get me in that? Trying to own me? You're trying to say I don't drink water? Look at that. I got a big glass of water right here. I bet you feel pretty silly now, don't you? Check this out. You want to see something? You want to talk to me about water. You want to talk to me about water. What do you think about that? Diet Coke is water, but better. That's right. It's like 99% water. With a bunch of other good stuff in there. Defeated by logic and reason. Thank you. Okay. Let's do this. Let's look at MLK's speech beyond Vietnam. Break silence. Our friend Red Scary for recommending that. Ready for this shit? There's this unreleased Reagan biopic starring Dennis Quaid, and they cast Creed singer Scott Stapp as Frank Sinatra. I think that makes sense because Scott Stapp is really like the elderly millennial Sinatra. If there is anyone that we could point to. He's Scott Stapp of Creed. Some say Scott Stapp is the Frank Sinatra of alternative rock, and I do say that. I'm saying it right now. He's our old Blue Eyes, that's right. Can you take me higher? I'm thinking about him like with the tux and like the lounge version of that. Hey, can you take me higher? Version. Anyway. You know what? Let's start this segment. I would like to read. I've read it a couple times before, but it's just so relevant to talk about MLK. To read opening chapter, state. He really comes in swinging with this, doesn't he? This is for the YouTube thumbnail. He really comes in swinging with this right off the bat. What is now happening to What is now happening to Marxist theory has, in the course of history, happened repeatedly to the theories of revolutionary thinkers and leaders of oppressed classes fighting for emancipation. During the lifetime of great revolutionaries, the oppressing classes constantly hounded them, received their theories with the most savage malice, the most furious hatred, and the most unscrupulous campaigns of lies and slander. After their death, attempts are made to convert them into harmless icons, to canonize them, so to say, and to hallow their names to a certain extent for the consolation of the oppressed classes, and with the object of duping the latter while at the same time robbing the revolutionary theory of its substance, blunting its revolutionary edge, and vulgarizing it. Today, the bourgeoisie and the opportunists within the labor movement concur in this doctoring of Marxism. They omit, obscure, or distort the revolutionary side of this theory, its revolutionary soul. They push to the foreground and extol what is or seems acceptable to the bourgeoisie. All the social chauvinists are now Marxists. Don't laugh. And more frequently, German bourgeois scholars, only yesterday specialists in the annihilation of Marxism, are speaking of the national German Marx, who they claim educated the labor unions which are so splendidly organized for the purpose of waging a predatory war. Yeah, and like Red Scary was saying, I think so many people could read that. That was written, over around 5 decades before MLK was a relevant figure, but before he was born. And it so fits with MLK's legacy, the way he was treated when he was alive. And again, all these white liberals that support MLK today, to say nothing of the conservatives that are like, he would have been a conservative. I have a dream speech. He was basically saying that like black people shouldn't get special treatment. That's what he was talking about. Like leaving those people aside, the liberals that have that hold up MLK to this day, who in the 60s would have hated this man and did hate this man. They despised him. So that's why that passage is so pertinent, because I think it so perfectly describes that. Describes exactly what has happened with MLK's legacy. And Zelensky quoted, "I have a dream." Believable. And that's exactly why I think it's really important when we talk about MLK to focus on these speeches that he was giving later in life, criticizing U.S. imperialism, linking the struggle of oppressed people in the United States with the struggles of victims of colonialism and imperialism, like the Vietnamese. And also is in the process of like helping to organize this Poor People's Campaign to unite people along class lines, to talk about social and racial justice, and to link up with oppressed working class white people as well, and create a mass movement. That's exactly the time when he started engaging in this kind of organizing and specifically calling out U.S. imperialism. That's when he became, I think, in my opinion, a truly dangerous figure to the U.S. establishment, who, as we all know, if you want to call this a conspiracy theory, we all know that he was not shot by a lone gunman. We all know that. Like, we all understand that, right? We don't need to pretend that that's some theory that has validity or anything. We all know what happened. So let's listen to MLK's speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence. This was from 1967 in New York. Let's go.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I need not pause to say how very delighted I am to be here tonight, and how very delighted I am to see you expressing your concern about the issues that will be discussed tonight by turning out in such large numbers. I also want to say that I consider it a great honor to share this program with Dr. Bennett, Dr. Comminger, and Rabbi Heschel, some of the distinguished leaders and personalities of our nation. And of course, it's always good to come back to Riverside Church. Over the last 8 years, I have had the privilege of preaching here almost every year in that period. It is always a rich and rewarding experience to come to this great church and this great pulpit. I come to this.
That's a good idea, Red Scary. Unfortunately there's no subtitles available for that. I can see if maybe there's another version that does have it.
I come to this magnificent house of worship tonight because my conscience leaves me no other choice. I join you in this meeting because I'm in deepest agreement with the aims and work of the organization which has brought us together, clergy and laymen concerned about Vietnam. The recent statements of your executive committee are the sentiments of my own heart, and I found myself in full accord when I read its opening lines. A time comes when silence is betrayal. And that time has come for us in relation to Vietnam.
This is all so pertinent.
The truth of these ago, there was a shining moment in that struggle. It seemed as if there was a real promise of hope for the poor, both black and white, through the poverty program. There were experiments, hopes, new beginnings. Then came the build-up in Vietnam, and I watched this program broken and eviscerated as if it was some idle political plaything of a society gone mad on war. And I knew that America would never invest the necessary funds or energies in rehabilitation of its poor so long as adventures like Vietnam continue to draw men and skill.
We've got to purge these pro-Viet Cong crazies from our movement. This is just too much. We'll never get the kind of like transformative economic policies that we want unless we purge these pro-Viet Cong crazies from the movement. You're never going to get civil rights legislation or voting rights legislation passed unless you do this. Did you see this post on Our Destiny about leftists that support the Houthis? I can't say that I did, Decadune, because I've done spend a lot of time perusing that. I'm not surprised that I'm in there, given the fact that my so much attention. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. Leftists are bad. This is what it says. I don't want to interrupt this MLK speech with bullshit about fucking drama debate streamers and stuff attacking me. Leftists are bad people. We should appeal to centrists instead. Once again, these people support arming Ukraine. They support Israel dropping white phosphorus on little kids. Fuck them. I don't care. I don't need to be lectured about being a bad person from people that support that. I'm quite confident in my values, and I don't feel the need to appeal to these fucking weirdos and losers about this. Anyway.
And money, like some demonic destructive suction tube. So I was increasingly compelled to see the war as an enemy of the poor and to attack it as such. Perhaps a more tragic recognition of reality took place when it became clear to me that the war was doing far more than devastating the hopes of the poor at home. It was sending their sons and their brothers and their husbands to fight and to die in extraordinary convinced that we could not limit our vision to certain rights for black people, but instead affirmed the conviction that America would never be free or saved from itself until the descendants of its slaves were loosed completely from the shackles they still wear. In a way, we were agreeing with Langston Hughes,
Tanky thinks America's bad.
that Black Bart of Harlem, who had written earlier, "Oh yes, I say it plain, America
if
never
there was fucking Twitch in 1967, you would have all these people being like, MLK, excuse me, he's coming out with these like pro-Viet Cong statements. We can no longer, we got to cut this guy loose. This guy's become a dangerous pro-USSR, pro-Viet Cong tanky. We can't be supporting this person." All these people would be saying the same things, these fucking people, streamers. We're never going to get civil rights legislation passed now. There's kind of dangerous radicalism in this movement. Yeah, I support civil rights and social justice and racial justice, but this America hating ideology, this pro-Soviet, pro-North Vietnam ideology, it's destroying the movement. Nothing has changed. All the exact white moderates that MLK complained about, rightfully so. Yeah, and that's for sure when he reads. That was all the op-eds and TV, for sure. I mean, absolutely. You're alienating the moderates with this. And it's always worth talking about as well what happened after, because the boomer generation, the hippies, give themselves this big pat on the back about the civil rights movement. And, you know, Fred Hampton assassinated, Malcolm X assassinated, MLK assassinated, the rest of the Panthers locked up, destroyed. And then they passed the civil rights legislation. They passed the Voting Rights Act. And they say, look, we got it. You did it. They like gives, and of course, JFK, RFK also assassinated. Like allies to the civil rights movement. Call them that. And they say, okay, all these people, like all these radical movement leaders have been assassinated, but we'll give you get the Voting Rights Act, you'll get this civil rights legislation. And then what happens at the exact same time? Drug laws, tough on crime, police budgets, militarizing the police, mass incarceration. Immediately at the exact same time as the Voting Rights Act passes, you start this policy of this state-sanctioned policy of continuing the Jim Crow era, but in a more stealthy way. It was like colonialism to neocolonialism. You saw that as well, Jim Crow to the post-Jim Crow period, when the civil rights had been achieved. And all the policies are still in place, but it's just obscured a little bit. I think often, too, about like movement leaders. You know, we know about Fred Hampton. We know about Malcolm X. We know about MLK. How many possible MLKs that just went to jail for some petty drug crime, that got locked up and put in the system when they were a teenager, and they're just in the system for the rest of their lives? How many potential Malcolm X's were just shot down in the street by police officers before they could ever become a Malcolm X, before they could become a Fred Hampton or an MLK? So this whole victory of civil rights legislation, and then they say, like, this is what you got to go the John Lewis route. You got to go the John Lewis route. Fortunately, the civil rights movement could have gone in the Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture direction. Fortunately, we reined that back, and it went in the productive, work within the system, incremental change, John Lewis direction. That's the ultimate victory for the American ruling class, the racist American ruling class. And it was Bill Clinton that said that at John Lewis's funeral. This fucking ghoul. Let's continue.
Was America to me, and yet I swear this oath America will be. Now it should be incandescently clear that no one who has any concern for the integrity and life of America today can ignore the present war. If America's soul becomes totally poisoned, part of the autopsy must read Vietnam. It can never be saved so long as it destroys the deepest hopes of men the world over. So it is that those of us who are yet determined that America will be are led down the path of protest and dissent, working for the health of our land. As if the weight of such a commitment to the life and health of America were not enough, another burden of responsibility was placed upon me in 1954.
But America's
and
a
I cannot
democracy.
forget
It's a democracy.
that the Nobel Peace Prize was also a commission. that best suits his convictions, but we must all protest. Now that is something seductively tempting about stopping there and sending us all off on what in some circles has become a popular crusade against the war in Vietnam. I say we must enter that struggle, but I wish to go on now to say something even more disturbing.
Mobilization versus
The
organization.
war in Vietnam is but a symptom of a far deeper malady within the American spirit.
Yeah, here we go.
And if we ignore this sobering reality, we will find ourselves organizing clergy and layman concerned committees for the next generation. They will be concerned about Guatemala and Peru. They will be concerned about Thailand and Cambodia. They will be concerned about Mozambique and South Africa. We will be marching for these and a dozen other names and attending rallies without end unless there is a significant and profound change in American life and policy.
You can really tell that it's really the point of all this, according to right-wingers, is that he thinks it's really bad when fucking rich suburbanite white kids don't get into Ivy League schools because they give it to a minority. I think that's the main takeaway that we should have, I think. We almost don't need the need for some kind of cultural revolution in the U.S. It does kind of seem like he's suggesting that, doesn't it?
So such thoughts take us beyond Vietnam, but not beyond our calling as sons of the living God. In 1957, a sensitive American official overseas said that it seemed to him that our nation was on the wrong side of a world revolution. During the past 10 years, we have seen emerge a pattern of suppression which has now justified the presence of U.S. military advisors in Venezuela. This need to maintain social stability for our investments accounts for the counter-revolutionary action of American forces in Guatemala. It tells why American helicopters are being used against guerrillas in Cambodia.
It was the next year
and why
that the
American
Indonesian
napalm and Green Beret
US
forces
backed
have already
military
been active
1 year
against
after
rebels
this.
in Peru. It is with such activity and over the pursuit of war. There's nothing to keep us from molding a recalcitrant status quo with bruised hands until we have fashioned it into a brotherhood. These are days which demand wise restraint and calm reasonableness. These are revolutionary times. All over the globe, men are revolting against old systems of exploitation and oppression. And out of the wombs of a frail world, new systems of justice and equality are being born. The shirtless and barefoot people of the land are rising up as never before. The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light. We in the West must support these revolutions. It is a sad fact that because of comfort, complacency, a morbid fear of communism, and our proneness to adjust to injustice, the Western nations that initiated so much of the revolutionary spirit of the modern world have now become the arch anti-revolutionaries. This has driven many to feel that only Marxism has a revolutionary spirit. Therefore, communism is a judgment against our failure to make democracy real and follow through on the revolutions that we initiated.
And I mean, even like Commentary talks about this, because MLK wasn't a Marxist, right? But he's promoting a lot of ideas in this speech that are totally in line with Marxist values, which that was exactly Kwame Ture's point about this, which is that Marx and Engels did not invent socialism. They didn't invent these concepts. They merely observed how these things worked and how these systems operated and just wrote down their observations. And that you don't need to be a Marxist to fundamentally understand these concepts. I find it's very valuable personally to read Marx and read Engels and read Lenin and read different various Marxist thinkers and socialists throughout the decades. But it's a science. It's the immortal science. It's the immortal science. You know, that's why I really appreciate Kwame Ture when he talks about that kind of concept. Try to frame it as being some kind of white European thing.
Lies in our ability to recapture the revolutionary spirit and go out into a sometimes hostile world, declaring eternal hostility to poverty, racism, and militarism. With this powerful commitment, we shall boldly some great cause, God's new Messiah often eats the gloom of blight, and the choice goes by forever twixt that darkness and that light. Though the cause of evil prosper, yet 'tis truth alone is strong. Though her portion be the scaffold, and upon the throne be wrong, yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. And if we will only make the right choice, we will be able to transform this pending cosmic elegy into a creative psalm of peace. If we will make the right choice, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our world into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. If we will but make the right choice, we will be able to speed up the day all over America and all over the world, when justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Amazing.
Put people.
Love how the speech ends optimistically, though, on a call to commit yourself to love and action and solidarity. Yeah, beautiful. That was really incredible, actually. Red Scary, thanks for recommending that. That was really fantastic. I don't think, again, I had heard the why I'm opposed to the war in Vietnam, but I don't think I'd listened to this one. So this was a really fantastic choice. And Lodane made an interesting comment a moment ago that I just wanted to wait a moment to get to. Lodane say, American conservatism requires very little, maybe some hate or self-interest or supremacy, but liberalism requires unreal amounts of cognitive dissonance. They know these civil rights leaders were assassinated, will even acknowledge the government is likely responsible, want everyone to obey and respect the rules, because the prescription strength copium salves of our legal system isn't perfect, but, and some people will fall through the cracks, but, after all, it worked out for them. Yeah. I think that's a cool way to look at it. I mean, it's a really good analogy. I mean, we talked the other day about, like, Bree Newsom's tweet, where she's like, Biden's already a fascist dictator. You're going to tell us to vote for Biden or else there might be fascism in America? Biden's already fascist. There's already a fascist dictatorship in America. And all these people say, whoa, how you can't say that. How dare you say that? Look at this community note that shows how you can, like, vote and you can have free speech, and it's not. And it's ignoring all that, ignoring the legacy of assassinated civil rights leaders, ignoring the legacy of mass incarceration and this new Jim Crow laws. Like, there's just that story the other day about 200 bodies being found in unmarked graves outside this one prison in the United States. That's one place. How can you look at all that and still keep up in this idea in your mind that Western liberal democracy is just the only way you can ever have a democratic system? It's our perfect, well, not perfect, obviously. It's got problems, it's got issues, but it's the best way to ever do these things. It's democratic and it's not fascist, and people have the ability to vote and have free speech and all this stuff. Like, it's total cognitive dissonance. It's total cognitive dissonance. And if you're one of these people that's like, how can it be fascist? My life is great. How can Canada be a fascist settler colony, genocidal settler colony? My life has been great. Yeah, because you benefit from living in a fascist dictatorship. You're one of the chosen in groups that's been able to still, like, somewhat survive and thrive, even though those groups are being narrowed down further and further and further and further. So more and more people are realizing that. But yeah, it does take massive amounts of cognitive dissonance to look at this legacy and still think that there's some hope or value in our institutions or in these kind of rules and regulations or in Western liberal democracy. MLK Jr. said, transform American society by subbing to Rob. I don't believe that was one of his most known quotes, but, you know, Red Scary said it in the chat, and I trust what Red Scary says about this stuff, so I'm imagining that there's some truth. I do have to get going soon, folks. It was a great Monday stream. We're at 3 hours, 10 minutes here. I do have to get going soon. If you can, though, please subscribe. I'm 12 subs away from the goal. It would be great to get to that sub goal today.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Time Abolition, thanks for 7 months tier 1. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for that. I will be back again tomorrow, obviously. 11 subs away from the goal. 11 measly subs away from the goal. That's barely anything at all. Are there any brave heroes out in the chat right now that want to support this stream and drag me across the finish line for today? Really haven't reckoned with our history of racial discrimination in Canada or our participation during the civil rights movement.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
At Southern American states while we had plenty of cities and towns where Black Canadians, etc.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I mean, just go online on Twitter and look at any like news story about like indigenous people, about Arabs, Muslims. I saw that story about a Muslim community leader who was talking about the anniversary of that killing of that family. I just want to be respectful. Afzal family. Syed Afzal, Iha Salman, Afzal. Along with their 9-year-old son. Killed. And there was a community event where they commemorated this like hate crime attack on this Muslim family. And look at all the tweets under it, all the replies. Look at all the replies. Okay, I'm cutting out. I think it's my noise gate. I fixed my mic issues, and now I think the noise gate is maybe a little too high. I'll fix that. But I just mean, if you're curious about Canada and whether we've reckoned with our racist history, look at any comment. Anytime there's an Indigenous blockade, the Wet'suwet'en blockades, or the posts about this Muslim family that was murdered in London, or any of these issues, and you will see people in this country showing their truth face and showing the ugliness and the racism that still permeates this society. Amazing Bird Show, thanks for the gifted sub, and thanks JJ Got Bored for the 14 months of tier 1. Thank you for that. We're only 9 subs away from the goal, folks. Trying to figure out how this noise gate works. Do I want to change the open threshold? Okay, I think that should be a bit better. 2, hello. I think it should be better. Put on some music here. Where was I can never find this one. So we got 9 subs to go, folks. We got 9 subs to go. Does anyone else want to subscribe to TRRS? Noise gate. We need to get one of those for my wife. And thank you, Red Scary. Women be shopping. It's true. Red Scary is often talking about this. We got 9 subs to go. Does anyone else want to support TRRS?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
US dollars. Baldwin, thanks so much for the gifted sub. Thank you, Baldwin. Really appreciate it. We do got a hype train on the horizon as well. One gifted sub could Get that hype train rolling. We got 8 subs to go. We got 8 subs to go. Are there 8 brave heroes that would like to support this channel and the commentary that you saw here today? If you're a new viewer, if you're a lurker, if it's your first time tuning into the stream today, do you know that when you subscribe to this program, you become a member in Twitch's only 2-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system? It's the friendship triangle system. You support this program. You help me keep this show on the air. You get all the access to all the other different features and community members. You get all the tiny little images, and we become friends. We become friends, and it's not parasocial. It's real, okay? It's real. It's real friendship. And people in the community can attest to that. 8 subs to go. What do we think? I'm not sponsored by any arms manufacturers. Not yet, anyways. That's right, Zach. Again, I hope to eventually be supported by the Dongsheng missile producers. You know, I'm open to it. I'm not saying no. IRGC just confirmed they hit a bunch of intelligence sites in Iraq. Missiles launched from Iran. Oh, good. Good. Another domino falling.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
USA bad.
It's true. Relic, thanks for 21 months of Prime. Another domino falling. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps pounded the Mossad headquarters in Erbil, Iraq. Dozens of ballistic missiles are launched and drone strikes are reported. The news has been confirmed by the IRGC. Love that feeling of just waiting every day for the other shoe to drop. Are we waiting for, that's the big question, are we waiting for World War III to start, or has it started already? And it just really hasn't escalated to the point yet where we can all acknowledge that. Sometimes it kind of feels like it has already started, hasn't it? We're just still in denial about it. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. China is holding steady, and so has Iran been for a lot of this time too. They're showing extreme amounts of patience. I think it's already started. It's just a debate on what start date will be in the history books. Yeah. It'll probably be the day that officially, like, U.S. ground troops become involved, which just feels like more and more likely every single day. Wars start prior to their declaration, yeah. And there was a statement from Russia to that effect a few days ago. I don't doubt it. Folks, 7 more subs to go. 7 more subs to go to get to the goal. That's a few brave heroes or one extremely brave hero. You could argue it started when Russia invaded Ukraine, but you could also argue that the Euromaidan started it. You can pick your point of where you think it started, you know? Maybe the Euromaidan was like the Franz Ferdinand incident, you know? Because as we know, Russia didn't just invade, or Soleimani, yeah. As we know, Russia didn't just invade Ukraine one day on a whim. Even though that's been the narrative that's been promoted in our media, we all know that that's not actually what happened. Similar to October 7th, it didn't just happen out of nowhere. You could say the Arab Spring. You could say Russia saying no more in Syria. Yeah, maybe you could even go back to 9/11, you know? Who knows? That's going to be what future historians are going to decide.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Provided we have some kind of future. Yeah, we will. We'll have a future. Chaos the Gardener, thanks for the 3 gifted subs. Very kind of you, Chaos the Gardener. Thank you for that. We got 4 more to go. We got 4 subs to go. A measly 4 subs to go to get to the goal today. This has to be the stupidest time in history, just the most bizarre time to be alive, or does every person throughout history think this? I think yes and no. I think people do think that throughout history, but I think it also is uniquely insane and stupid. Living through this is already changing me as a person. Yeah, well, same with me, Sean. I mean, you can track them. That's been the interesting thing about, for me, like podcasting and writing over the last 5-6 years. You can track the way that it's changed me. You can go back and listen to me speaking in great detail about things that were happening internationally and domestically for 6 years, and you can track all the changes. The internet is what's making this an absolutely insane experience. That's true. I think being able to live things in real time is an element of it as well. And the whole social media aspect. Maybe tonight will be the night I'll take all these songs and put them online for people to listen to. I've been telling people I'm going to do that for about 18 months. The U.S. is sleepwalking itself into World War III, and I get the sentiment as well, but that's also I think that's a trope that I think we also need to reject a little bit. This whole bumbling empire. Oh, they just kind of accidentally, they're sleepwalking into it. They're bumbling into it, and in reality, they're actively, intricately involved in all of these, fanning all these flames and pouring gasoline on all of these various conflicts, all these various flashpoints. Folks, we got only 4 subs to go. We got only 4 subs to go.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Bonsai Prince Buddy, thanks for 24 months tier 1. And that's 2 entire years. That's 2 years of tier 1 from Bonsai Prince Buddy. Please enjoy the 2-year, 24-month shimmering golden sub badge, Bonsai Prince. You deserve it. You deserve it. The beautiful gold badge. And we got only 3 to go. We got only 3 to go. What do we think? What do we say? Can we do this? Sean's just given up hope. Sean has no faith in you. Sean has no faith in the brave heroes in this community. Sean is let down and disappointed now.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Wait a minute, that's freelance communist music. Thank you, freelance communist, for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. And we got 2 more. We got 2
You
more.
can count on me. You're gonna have good old
Talks
Rob
to Wall.
to
Thanks
talk
for
you through all
37
this.
months. Tier 1. Heck yeah. Talks to Wall. I appreciate it. We got 1 more. Who's I need a hero. Where's the brave hero?
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
$4.10. $4.10. Thanks for the 12 months.
You
That's
can
one
count on
entire
me.
year.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
$4.10. And thank you, Berkeley Pit Power Swimmer, for the gifted sub. Very first gifted sub in the channel from Berkeley Pit Power Swimmer as well. Thank you, Berkeley Pit. No, it's too much. And of course, now it leads to a hype train, so now I can't leave, of course. I'll never doubt Rob again, ever, on any issue, for any reason. Thank you, Sean. 50
You
subs.
can count
in
on
the
me.
song.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Kim Jong-un told me to do it.
Pezzy, thanks for 13 months of Prime. Juche Gang. And yeah, in theory, if I did end up getting 13 more subs, I would sing a little song. In theory. And as we all know, that's not going to happen, so it's not something that I have to think about or worry about. So, obviously that's not going to happen. Boy, would there be egg on my face. Would there be egg on my face if I was forced to sing a little song? Take care, $4.10. Thanks for the gifted sub. I really appreciate it. I would be so totally owned if that happened. That would like double prove Sean wrong. I agree. We can't be both humiliated. That would just be way too much. That would be unacceptable. It would just be way too much, folks. Anyway, this was a really great stream today. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in today. Folks, I have a question for you, and I know I'm the like political streamer or whatever, so maybe I should know this information. Is today the like Iowa caucus stuff? Is that today? It's amazing how totally unplugged I am from that. I'm not paying attention to it at all. Like literally not at all. I think that's amazing considering 4 years ago. Or is it tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. I think that would make sense, right? Considering how obsessed I was with this 4 years ago, it's pretty amazing that here we are 4 years later. And I'm just like, when is that happening? I don't know. Who knows? We're caucusing our tits off out here. Caucusing. So stupid. It's 4 years from the Pete Buttigieg, Ohio gambit, or Iowa, excuse me. The Buttigieg gambit. Ladies and gentlemen, we have shocked a nation. Bernie should have just gone out there and claimed victory. Bernie should have gone out there 8 p.m. the night of the Iowa caucus and just gone out there and declared victory. And it worked for Pete. He's now the most hated Secretary of Transportation I've ever seen. Exactly. Thank you everyone for tuning into the stream today. I feel pretty good that I feel like I've fixed some of these audio problems. It looked and sounded better than it has for quite some time today. And I had fun ranting and raving and hooting and hollering with all of you. I'll be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to watch the Bills game. I guess the Bills game's starting now. I'm going to go ahead and watch that. Watch that bad boy. Watch my precious Bills. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow. As always, plenty more to talk about. Please give my regards to our friend Hildy. Let's try to make Hildy freak out as much as possible, as usual. The usual strategy. Until tomorrow, I love you folks. Thank you for watching. Peace. America bad.